understanding of identity, sin, and approaches to solutions diverse significantly from biblical teachings, making it incompatible with Christian worldview. Some believe that CRT is a Marxist or communist-motivated ideology, similar to atheism or humanism. Some people believe it ignores that God made the heavens and the earth. So there are denominations out there that do support things like Black Lives Matter, love is love, And if you know any other groups that try to bring CRT to the forefront, put them down in the comments. I'd love to be a little bit more educated about it. The problem with criticizing the critical race theory, which everyone can if they want, it's a free country. The problem with people who criticize the critical race theory, what they really want is not to have these discussions. Even if some of critical race theory points could be misguided or perhaps a little off mark, it's still a great opportunity to have discussions about how racism affects everything in society. I don't think there is anything in society that doesn't get affected by racism. The problem with people not wanting CRT to be taught is they don't want to have conversations that may or may not be comfortable. My response is that maybe your ancestors should have behaved in a way that this didn't happen, so we wouldn't have to talk about it. I mean, uncomfortable things happen because people don't behave the way they're supposed to behave. Critical race theory, I think, is a great tool to start and initiate conversations and compare notes about privilege and living without privilege. Not all African American people, not all Hispanics and Latinos and Asians are being targeted by white privileged people. I think the majority are. In America, we are known for our racism, sexism, homophobia, queerphobia. We don't like anything that questions the heteronormative narrative, the default setting. Anything that could slightly disturb the white male heterosexual privilege isn't allowed. And in church, they teach things that deprive people of their autonomy, their voice, their gender identity. I don't want to be a part of a religion or Christian denomination or any kind of secular or philosophical group that shuts down conversations, even if the conversation isn't entirely accurate or historically factual. It's still a great way to knock around ideas. I think racism is something that individual people do. I think groups also do it as well. People in power, people who are very white, very heterosexual, or very heterosexual leaning. It's groups, it's institutions, it's individual families, and it's individual people. And to make conversations about race and its effects illegal, banned, or controversial is very white supremacist. And it's okay if critical race theory isn't 100% correct. You look at psychology. Dr. Sigmund Freud, he wasn't right about everything, but we didn't throw out everything he ever taught just because a few things were wrong. The same with Albert Einstein. You don't throw away a lot of good things just because this very intellectual genius got a few things wrong. Every famous scientist or famous leader wasn't right about everything. You don't just throw out a very interesting racial conversation just because not everything in it is true. Sometimes that can be a launch pad for talking about the incorrect, unfactual parts of racism or how racism is interpreted. And people who object to critical race theory, it's always because they don't want to have the conversation. They're privileged. Maybe they don't know what critical race theory really is. A lot of people talk about it and they don't know what they're talking about. Critical race theory isn't teaching hatred for white people. We're teaching the realities of how different groups work together or work against each other. And sometimes there is hate there, at least in the historical events. But you don't stop teaching the civil rights movement just because one or two things that happened weren't right. Everybody did things that weren't right. You don't stop talking about them. I think we shouldn't have holidays that honor them, but we shouldn't stop talking about them. Lastly, we're going to look at all the different states to see in 2025 which states have banned it, vetoed it, overturned it, or have tried but failed to ban it. Alaska, vetoed, overturned, and stalled. In 2022, Republicans introduced 4 bills. Several would ban the teaching of CRT. Arizona, vetoed, overturned. So instead of going one by one, let's look at the states with bans against CRT. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, Kentucky, Mississippi, Montana, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Virginia. And I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 18. These states represent only the tip of the iceberg. There is many other states that are looking to end the practice of teaching CRT. States with bills currently moving toward banning or forbidding CRT: Connecticut, Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, Mississippi, Nebraska, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Oregon. While the states comprising the old Confederacy are widely represented in the number of anti-CRT bills and measures being put forth in legislative chambers, a surprising number of states representing a large swath of the Midwest have also attempted to restrict how race is taught in their school curriculum. So it seems that the majority of states are in the Bible Belt. They used to be Confederate states known for slavery, and the Midwest, which are the farmers, where a lot of the Republican states can be found. Opposition to banning critical race theory. In each of these states looking to eliminate or reduce CRT instruction, there is a vocal opposition. In Alaska, Arizona, Colorado, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, New Mexico, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming, anti-CRT bills have been vetoed, overturned, or stalled in legislative process. Supporters of the failed legislation have vowed to reintroduce those measures in future legislative sessions. As of early 2023, only California, Delaware, District of Columbia, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Nevada, and Vermont have not had bans attempted. These sites still have the chance to pass legislation to positively affirm the goals and intentions of teaching about racism and the deleterious effect that has had on generations of minorities of Black Americans in the U.S. So it seems that the states that are red, very conservative, with slavery history, are the ones that are usually banning or vetoing CRT. So, how has this changed under Trump? Under Trump, we've seen a jump in hate crimes, hate group membership. The quantity of hate groups have risen. I've heard that 25% of misogyny and male-on-female crime has risen, and communities have risen because our leader is a racist. Since January 2021, 44 states have introduced bills or taken other steps that would restrict teaching CRT or limit how teachers can discuss racism and sexism, according to an Education Week analysis. 20 states are imposing these bans and restrictions either through legislation or other avenues. Many teachers have quit or left due to these CRT bans. They face challenges which lessen and the professional development of courses in states where laws have passed. State lawmakers drew inspiration from September 2020 executive order signed by Donald Trump, which banned certain types of diversity training in federal agencies after the murder of George Floyd in 2020. Bills aim at K-12 schools in 2021 and 2022 legislative sessions targeting anti-bias training and other efforts educators were making to diversify curricula and materials, arguing that schools placing too much emphasis on the most difficult chapters of American history and were intentionally causing white children to feel guilty about their race. Because the worst crime, I guess, in America is that white people are uncomfortable. Sometimes I'm embarrassed to be white. Anyways, we are losing a lot of dynamic teachers in states and communities that need quality educators, but we're not retaining them because we make their lives miserable by restricting vital education. Racism, sexism, queerphobia will always exist and thrive if we don't teach people how these things occur. And it's always through silence, vetoing, banning, censorship. It's always through protect the family, protect the white privilege. And as long as we allow racists to be president and sit in positions of authority, we're enabling racism. We need to wake up and decide that Donald Trump is going to be the last president that's racist, sexist, queerphobic, that we hold everyone in positions of authority to a high standard of inclusion. We tell every school board